The longer you stay, you begin to have diminishing returns. That's mango rotting. Now, if two things don't happen, you are locked in that trap. The first thing is a succession plan, because you know it's inevitable. The second thing is, what do you do after you leave? So you find many people have loads and tons of money, they've made commercial success, but that is their only source of relevance. And the fear is that if I leave, I'll not be relevant anymore. Forgetting that you're being there, you will get to a point where we learn, unlearn, and relearn. But the more you do the photocopy, the fainter it becomes. So there's a time where you need fresh ideas and fresh energy to augment the possibilities, then you create a new reality. So that guy that when he goes on leave, we are held to ransom, need to have succession. Use the same word for challenge and opportunity. The Chinese character for challenge is door of opportunity, same. So challenge is written as door of opportunity. The intrinsic nature of the Nigerian is that die-hard nature of his. And that die-hard fits into what I called the in spite of mindset. But you need to coach the Nigerian to switch from a mentality of because of to a mentality of in spite of.
Hello everyone, welcome to the coffee table. My name is Okere, and of course we do this once every 2 weeks, once every fortnight, where I bring in amazing business people, businessmen, people who shape the Nigerian economy and to a large extent the African economy. This is simply thought-provoking discussions that will channel your mind to where your money is. That's what we do at Nairametrics. We follow the money. And today I am pleased and super proud to have here with me someone that I was just telling him before we rolled the camera that I've been admiring his business for years and years ago. And so I have here with me on the coffee table Austin Okere. For those who may not know him, I don't know why you would know him. Austin Okere is the founder of Computer Warehouse Group, CWG, one of the very first technology companies that listed on the exchange. I remember back then there used to be like 3 or 4 of them on the exchange then, and so he basically paved the way for a lot of the tech companies that you're seeing, and he was one of the early tech pioneers of Nigeria. Welcome, sir, to the coffee table.
Thank you, Okere, for having me. I'm very pleased to be here with you. We've been trying to do this for a while.
Yes, sir. And I'm super proud I was able to find a way to fit into your busy schedule. So good to have you, sir. All right, so we start. I think we should probably just start from the beginning, because I was so looking forward to this interview, not just because of your business and who you are, but more about what I can learn and what our audience can learn from you, especially people in this entrepreneurial journey. There's just so much that you have, and we're also going to talk about what you do now at the moment as well at some point in the interview. But let's go back to how this all started. Like I said, I've been hearing of Computer Warehouse Group since maybe 2001, 2, when I used to drive past Surulere, and then I would see the building and all of that. So when did this start, and how did you start this? And why that name, Computer Warehouse Group?
Yeah, okay, it's interesting. Because people ask that question. Out of 10 people, 9 will ask, why Computer Warehouse Group? 7 will ask, when did it start? And maybe 5 will ask, why did it start? I think that there is a lot of the hand of fate in coming to be where we are today, or where I am today. So I was born in Ghana. My mother is Ghanaian. My father is from Okere in Imo State. And I did very well in my O levels, got into the A levels, and I didn't do very well at all because I was playing.
Really?
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, no, not strange. I mean, it sounds like something I did too.
So there were then 3 universities in Ghana, and you had to do A levels to go to university, and it was it's just the best that got into the top places, and then they go down like that. I wanted to do anything in engineering. I didn't get a space. I wanted to do, therefore, building technology or anything in architecture. I didn't get a space. I got a space in agricultural engineering, which was not me. I wasn't going for the lectures. University of Ghana, Legon. I was passing the tests, but so the dean called me one day and he says, well, I have good and bad news for you. The good news is you've passed all your tests, but the bad news is that we have to ask you to leave. Wow, my heart fell. That you haven't met the minimum attendance requirements. And I just thought about all the people I'd said bye-bye to at home. You're going, you're a big boy now. And you're going back home to take the A-level again the next year, which I didn't even think I would do well again. So this was, as I was leaving his office, he probably saw that this guy is broken. He called me and said, listen, I know this is not your passion. There is a new department in the maths faculty called computer science. I can give you a note.
What year was this?
So this was in 1982. I can give you a note to Professor Odom, who was the dean of faculty.
That sounds Nigerian.
No, it's Ghanaian.
Ah.
And maybe they will have a place for you. Because it was new, there were a few extra spaces. And I went to see Professor Odom. And luckily, I got into this fascinating area called computer sciences. At that time, it wasn't a course on its own. So I was doing mathematics, statistics, and computer sciences. And that's how I got into computer sciences. But I loved it because anything numerate was my strength. And then happened what we call the revolution of Jerry John Rawlings. After my first year, we'd done the exam, and there was a revolution, and then he closed down the universities because we went on protest. I think the soldier man was like, these pampered children. A month later, they had not opened. 2 months later, 2.5 months. And then my dad said, listen, I'm not so sure when schooling will start for the universities in Ghana. Why don't you go to Nigeria and continue there? So I came to University of Lagos. At that time, the registrar, I think, was Mr. Okudu. And luckily for me, they didn't take their first semester exam before they went on holiday, which meant that they were going to take the first semester exam when they come back from the holiday. So I was able to join them in the second semester. I'd been doing the program in Ghana, so I cleared the exam. And that's how I joined them from part 1. And so I graduated from University of Lagos in 1986, and I didn't go back to Ghana. So that's how come about computer sciences. That was not my first choice. It's quite accidental, but with the benefit of hindsight, it was just the right step for me.
Interesting. So when you were done with school, I guess you went straight from 9 to 5? And was it the same line, computer? Well,
it was. So when I finished, I did my youth corps in a place called NMTV, which you know about. The head office was in Falomo there. I was in the department called ETDS, Engineering and Technical Service Department. Dr. Olorunfemi was the head of that department. And as a youth corps member, I was given quite a lot of responsibility. I mean, I love this thing, and I was good at it. During that time, they're trying to determine new petroleum prices. Where should the price be? So they done a lot of surveys which needed to be analyzed to see the mean and median and so on. Huge documents. What do we do with this? There was one university at Ahmadu Bello that had a statistical analysis package called SPSS.
SPSS.
So that was an option, and that was the option we took. So someone had to go with all those bales to Ahmadu Bello and feed it into the system, and then to do the analysis and recommend the median points. Normally, youth corpers were not allowed to go on, we call it trek, to go on outside job where you get a stipend, you stay in the hotel. They felt it was something
important. Very important for them.
For staff to do. But because I was probably the most obvious person to do it, they made an exception. So I went to ABU for 2 weeks, working with Dr. Okere, who was the head of the department there. Eventually, he moved to the Lagos Business School. When I was a pioneer MBA at the Lagos Business School, I met him there again. And we did.
Which Dr. Okere is this?
Ezekiel,
okay.
And brought the results back. And everybody was happy. So I thought that upon the completion of my youth corps, I will be offered an automatic place in NMPC. So I didn't actually spend so much time looking for a job. My bosses were all happy. Mrs. Ezekwe, Mr. Anyara. And then on the day of our discharge, I was waiting for
your certificate.
For my letter
for your letter of employment or confirmation.
I learned something in Nigeria called quota system. They say Imo State quota is full.
Wow.
So
as far back as back then.
Yeah. So I finished in 86 and I did my youth service in 87. Wow, panic set in. So I now started looking for a job. I'm not so sure there is any office or marina that doesn't have my CV.
Wow.
If they keep their records, they will have it. I dropped CVs everywhere. My shoe was halfway.
After delivering such an important project?
Yes, it was not because of competence as much as it was about the quota system. And if your quota, the quota of your state is exhausted, then it's exhausted. That's what I learned anyway. So there wasn't anything that any of my bosses could. I'm sure if probably there was a deep want, somebody could have again made an exception as I was allowed to travel as a youth corper. But I guess when it comes to high stake things like employment,
nobody cares about, especially in public service.
His own, everybody's looking out for himself. In any case, I got opportunity for interview at Shell. And there was a consulting company called Arthur Anderson. It's changed now.
Yes.
Now, I went for the Shell interview. It was a very known interview. Many people, and then they keep, reducing the numbers as you do the test. I got to the final stage, and I was very confident, but got a regrets letter.
Wow.
So that was Shell.
Out of the way.
Then I got a letter from Norchem, very happy. I looked at the date. The interview date had passed. We didn't have emails then. So
yes, post your letter. Yes.
Didn't deliver the number. I went to Norchem very quickly the next morning and they say, well, there was a panel and they did the interview and they finished. You can't assemble the panel again, so sorry. So left with Arthur Anderson. And I continued in Arthur Anderson, did the last test, and I was invited for an interview with a gentleman called Toyin Muniz. There was another gentleman called Dr. Sulaiman, who was also in Atlantis. He was deputy to Toyin Muniz. Toyin Muniz was like the boss. And I met him and had an interview. And Toyin said, oh, fantastic. Any case, Dr. is not in. Well, I didn't call him Dr. He was calling him Dr. So come and see him on Monday, and then he will have a chat with you, and then you can start. The key word I heard was, you can start. So I went home very happy. I think I had a stabia. Waiting for Monday to come anxiously. At that time, I still had my NMPC pass. And so I got onto the NNPC bus, which used to go pick the staff. And it left as early as 7:30 at the bus stop and came to, I'm not so sure where the office was, on the road that goes to Eko Hotel. That's where Atlantis office was.
Yeah, it used to be then.
So I went in, I got in at about 7:45 and was waiting for this gentleman called Dotun. Where is this? I didn't know him. I told the receptionist. So I knew that they would call me when he was ready for me. Lunchtime, nothing. Say, if I go for lunch and this man calls me and I'm not there. I remember what happened at Norchem, National Oil Chemical Company. I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting here with a hunger. I think about 3:45, I got ushered into the office of Dr. Sulaiman. He asked me, I think, 2 or 3 questions. How are you? What's your name? Okay, you hear from us. I said,
I thought you were meant to start
the interview. The hearing from Atlantis was another regret letter. Wow, at this point in time.
It's fascinating how you remember all these names. Well, go on.
It was deep. It was very deep. So there I was at home, thinking I was going to start at Atlantis on either Monday or Tuesday, and I had no job, and no prospects. Then I saw an advert on Tuesdays in The Guardian. There were so many requests for job adverts. So I saved my money and bought Guardian every Tuesday, and I applied to any position.
Yeah.
And one of them came through a company called Tritech, new company startup in Ikeja, Adini Jones. And the person that was starting that business was Dr. Awukoya. I later came to understand that his father was maybe the first commissioner for education in Lagos State, or is it Western region? I'm not so sure. But he was coming from Harvard. And when I got there, I was wearing, a shirt that I thought was a very nice shirt. That was the best shirt
that you had.
I ironed it very properly. And he said, okay, great. You're going to be starting here, but not in that shirt. I remember what he said. As a businessman, you should wear a white shirt, a blue shirt, a dark suit, and a burgundy tie. That's what he said. So I'm going to give you an advance of salary.
Really?
Get yourself a dark suit, 2 white shirts, 2 blue shirts, and 2 burgundy ties. And that's what I did. To today, I don't wear anything but a dark shirt, a blue shirt, a dark suit, and a burgundy tie. Because
Really?
I'm changing the tie a bit. But that was the training he brought. And I worked with him for about a year. So I was doing everything. I was doing sales. I was doing support because I was doing software. And it became clear that the place was small. I won't be able to grow into anything more than what I was doing. It was just a startup. So I started looking for bigger companies. I applied to ICL, Inlax, JKK, DPMS, all the big companies. And I got a call from Inlax. Inlax was predominantly Indian owned, but they had computers and they had merchandising and so on in Ido, but the computers was in Ikoyi. And I remember that I had an interview with a guy called Rakesh, who was the head of
You still
engineering.
remember the names. Lord.
Yes, it was deep. And then after 3 questions, Rakesh says, excuse me, let's go and I'm going to take you to see someone. So went to someone's office. Apparently that was the general manager. His name was Pramod Maitre. And then he said, I have good and bad news for you. Anytime I hear good and bad news,
you go back to...
they spoke in Hindi, so I couldn't hear what they were saying. But he said, listen, we don't have any space for programmer analyst, but we have a space for a salesman. So if you want, we can employ you as a sales executive. And then when there's an opening
come over.
Programmer analyst, you could cross over. What am I going home to do? I said, yeah, I will. Never saw myself as a salesperson. I was very shy, reserved. And I used to see all the insurance people that used to come and sell things to us, and I used to feel sorry for them. So this is the job I was going to do. But I told myself, oh, for such a short time. And I was doing quite a good job because I understood what I was selling. I mean, when I was doing my youth call, they were setting up a new department called LNG in Adiola Hopewell.
Yeah.
And
that's under NMPC
under
at the time.
NMPC.
Yeah.
The person that came to head that department was